try it. I'll try it. And look at how close everything is together. Maybe I need to put a layer of flux on before I do that. I need to increase it a little bit. Yeah, see, that's a good lesson to learn, you know. I knew that might be the case. Okay, icy clear again. I'll turn the temperature down to 250, so let's see how this does. Hopefully that doesn't bend the sensor itself between. Who knows? Not enough to melt the solid at 250. It's not happening. If I go 300, it's just going to mess up the template. I'm pushing very hard down on it, but again, it's just not making a difference because it's bowed in. And then that happens. Look at that. Okay, so I've just successfully done one. I had like a practice one, so I'm going to try it now again. And I found that the easiest way to make is to just put balls on with the sensor so a little bit of flux. On there. I want that thick coating like you see at the top. Just in there. Now the methodology here was probably wrong what I've done, but it works. So I'm going to do it again. And if people can tell me everything you do in the comments. Just flood the area with balls. That's the tweezers. You cannot have flux on it at this point to wait for the balls all the way. Let's do this. Put balls where you need to put balls. There we go. As I said, can be a bit fiddly, but it's alright. There you go, so every single one looks filled, and then slowly just lift up from the template. From the template, I guess. Not doing it well enough, but it's doing it. My left hand is a lot shakier, by the way, because I'm not resting it on the table. Because of that angle, I'm trying to do everything out, so that's okay. Just a second ago, the first round I did, I maybe had like 3 pads that didn't have any balls on, so I just did it why that didn't happen this time around, but I think it's because it was still the template was a bit reflexive issue. Should be okay. Alright, let's go. Flux, go again. There it is. Nice. Get the flux off, and there we have it. Reballed RAM. Nice. Just have to do that now another 5 times. The RAM is reballed, and now what I need to do is go over to the board and just prep all of the pads. I've already applied loaded solder to most of them, so you can go over them very, very gently. Yeah, very, very gently here. Don't take off any additional formal coating.
They're gonna love my resume, but I gotta find the right word. Not synergy, cahoots. I need a little help. Oh yeah, I can just hit up Acrobat AI Assistant. What's a better way to say, let a bunch of teams? Oh, cross-functional. That's it. And done. Thanks for the cross-functional teamwork, AI Assistant.
Okay, and again, it's just going to be a rinse and repeat process over the 7 that I have to replace. There we go, rinse and repeat. Alright, I think I'm all good. Now, arguably, potentially, for me at least, the easiest part, which is to put the RAM onto the board. And one is located down the bottom right, you see with the arrow. Let me get that in place. Right, let's do this. Sat in place, good. So we can shift. All is about to be very fluxy. Here we go. Nudge, nice. Okay, 100 no, it's 45, there we go, 45, 46, 50. I think again, board's just a little bit too hot. 27.8, 27.9, 30, 40, okay, I think there's a little bit of temperature in the board. Okay, let's proceed. I'm also very tempted to just go ahead and put all the RAM on, because all the RAM that I've accrued is taken from a board that I don't think had RAM issues, and I've used all of those instead of partly what we had here. I'm going to be a bit cheeky and just replace these ones as well. Then we'll come and measure. We're just going to test that line to ensure that we still don't have the low 20s resistance mode. Okay, let's measure what we get. Why is it honestly, I've got such a bad feeling that it's my my multimeter. The phone measure on the RAM cap itself. So we get 39.40 and the actual RAM cap 52. And it's just going, I don't know. Look, none of the RAM that I'm installing, I've got 3 more RAM ICs to install. None of this was from the board, it was from another board, which supposedly had a good RAM rail, but again, I don't know. I could be doing all of this for no reason. It's practice. So I'm going to install the remaining 3, and we'll go from there. Alright, all of that actually went better than I thought. Once I got the process down to actually reballing the RAM ICs, it was all pretty smooth. Whilst I'm here, I'm going to take off the HDMI port because I want to, and I obviously need to replace the diode, etc. And I'm going to be installing my own port, so I'll quickly go through that, and then we'll give it a test. Going to blast this port quickly into the next universe with this whole area quickly as well. There it goes. Look at the solder. It's wrinkly. And we need to replace the diode as well. Nice. Whilst the board is nice and hot. Fresh flux here. Taking away the solder. Okay. And now quickly, nice fresh flux. Okay, another quick clean, and do all that flux. Continue the flow, not doesn't look like much solder got through to the back here. And then, equally, area, it still has people's hair, so I'm going to figure out, I don't know how or why there is hair here. There you go, just do a better height, get your diode swapped over, get your stuff on, and then we'll flow you into place. Just like that. Nice one. And back to the port. Just flux, just enough key areas, not too much. Just it anyways. Back and forth on the heat. Make it jubbly. Port on. If that solder's going to push you on the legs. See it wanting to. Yeah, there's some different comfort on the legs. Good. Shuffle it about a bit. Even if that's not comfortable.
One at a time, guys.
Still part way. And still just shuffling. Now we're going to do a bit of a jig forward. Put it up there. Go for the hold down. Come off the setting that solders that port to all of the pads. But again, as you know, I do like to do a little bit thorough when it comes to this. And I do just like to go over every pin to ensure that it's definitely solid. At the risk, you know, of messing it up. Because that's what I'm like. It's tiny to solder on my own. Let's flux will work. Here we go. Okay, good. Everyone isn't perfect. Perfect would be the solder going over every single pin, but I'm going to take it, to be honest, because I might have bigger fish to fry. I kind of want to get this port on so I can test. The solder's not come all the way up to hug the ground edge on this one here, but you can see that the solder is in the hole. So it will be a strong port, because if you didn't know, cleaning it gives you good luck. That's how I view it. I'm really nervous about it. It's probably the first fix in a while that I've been nervous about because of the complexity. I really hope it works. If not, it's another day in the office and it's a good experience for the reballing the RAM, etc. Just make sure we have no problems. I don't think we do. No, we don't. Perfect. It does look really, really good. One on the end is just flux. I can confirm. Just putting it down there and getting ready to get to that. You also have the diode on the back now as well. Also, this ground looking good. Moment of truth then, hey? Let's go. Alright, I have placed the fan in, I've put the metal housing back on just to try and keep it as cool as possible. There is a tiny bit of liquid metal that was on the heat sink originally. I've put the dish drive back, I've put the fan back. I've literally put everything back together just with no screws at all, so it's nice and easy for me to take apart if I need to. I really hope this works. Could do with a little bit of luck, if I'm honest with you. I know I kind of have created my own luck, but power's in. Here we go. Do we get a fan spin or anything? Let's turn down. Just the brightness. This is taking me hours. 3, 2, 1. Same thing. The disk drive still beeps 3 times, and I still get a power button beep. Nothing has changed, essentially, which in a way is really good because it means that I haven't made the problem worse, and now we have like no power at all. So I think all the RAM then must be fine. Let's check that reading at the RAM spot again. Let's see. What we don't want is that low 20s. Low 20s again. So we have the same issue with the RAM. It doesn't make sense because it's all RAM from another board that had an absolutely fine reading on the RAM rail, except for the one piece which is here. But when all of them were removed, this piece was fine. It was up to the 40s and 50s. It makes no sense. Obviously, there is a possibility that I could have put the RAM back on incorrectly, but I don't think I did. This I see the RAM driver. I'm not sure. I know that we have a RAM reading around it, but I read here like what do I get here? 7.4K. I'll try it as one of these. This one. This is all over the place. This reading. 400 kilo ohms, then back down and back up. Now it's in the mega ohms, 1.94, all the way back up. Oh, there we go, 42, 50. So this is reading 50 ohms. I'm sure this is connected. I put the meter in continuity mode, and I put one probe here, and I put the other probe on the place where I just was. Yeah, they're completely apart. It's the same rail, but this resistance is all over the place. What about when we just do resistor? It must be 2.2 ohm, I think, which is what it registers. Okay, it registers as 3 ohms, but obviously taking my leads out and weights, which should be fine. This is a 1 ohm resistor. What do we get here? We get 1 ohm. Okay, here's that component on a donor board. I'm just going to see what I get here. That's reading 93K. 93K. What do we get here? 93K. But that didn't want to come off. Here we go. Okay, wait for the board to cool down and measure and go from there, I guess. Surprise, it didn't work. But I'm going to show you something that I might have discovered. I maybe should have done this as soon as I started looking at the PS5, but that was to inject 12 volts just to see what the boot sequence was like. For reference, this test is a good board. It should jump up to around about 300 milliamps or so. And then straight back down, which it does, hang for a couple of seconds, and straight back down. Nice. Our board, however, watch. It boots up straight away to about 200 milliamps, hangs, and then eventually, any second now, drop back down. So it's not reaching full boot. I'm going to have to keep this board for a live stream. I feel like if we all put our heads together, we might be able to come up with something, but I've kind of hit my limit in terms of what it is that I know. The fact that someone's been inside this before has probably made me chase the wrong thing at times as well, but again, you live and you learn. I'm sure we'll be able to work something out. If not, we're just going to have to use it as another donor. But Sally is going to be so angry with me. But I will definitely save this one for a troubleshooting live stream. It will make a really good live stream. So make sure you subscribe for that. Let's head on over to Sally and see where we're at. Don't really need to work anything out, do we? If we're being honest, we have lost a total of £230 today, which now puts our total profit at minus £113.39. It's official. After a few weeks of dancing on the fence, we are now in the negative. Sorry again that I wasn't able to fix it. It's nice to have challenging ones rather than ones where I just pick up a cap because it's shorted it to ground. And it was real nice to get some like reborn experience with the RAM, and also nice to know that I've not made it worse. I think. I'll leave this video up here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up button, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
I
Yeah,
just put
antenna
the song
wires.
because I was doing some music.
Jubbly.
So I'm just here.
Move them around, get them out of the way.
Right.
There. Well, that's a long silver screw. I'm pretty sure I say that every time I take this apart. Wow, that's a long silver screw. Because we're just not used to seeing that on the PlayStation 5. These are definitely factory fresh screws, that is for sure. Either that or I'm just feeling incredibly weak today. Probably the latter. I'm really hoping that I'm just going to find a random short on the board and we can isolate it and remove whatever cap it is and replace if need be. If it's going to be something like a Southbridge or an SSD controller IC or one of the big main chips, I'm not going to have any of those. So this will be interesting. Right, clear all these out of the way, that's done. Oh, there's one over here that I've left in. So pull up from here. There we go. Right, anything obvious? Doesn't look like it. Straight off the bat, no big holes in the board, which is always nice to see. No explosions. The ports themselves seem to be fine, so we don't have any crossing pins on the USB ports or anything like that to stop it from working. I have seen something though. Wait there. I can see something with my eye. I don't know how I managed to see that. Let's go to the scope real quick. And this is pretty much from factory. Nobody's been inside this console before. So how is this a thing? Unless this is exactly where our short is. Right there. This is the Wi-Fi IC. Look at that cap. What are you doing, my friend? Are you on the board or are you off? Or have you just not made your decision? Imagine it was because this was touching something. I don't think it was. Let's, is this cap shorted by any chance? I mean, we do have some markings in the middle. Is this a shorted cap? And we do have a smaller cap, I think, which goes across. Where's that resistor? No, it looks like a cap. I think that's a cap anyway. This one here, the smaller one, I just want to see if that is shorted. Let's put that there. So meeting continuity mode. No. Alright, that would be
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, guys.
I'm just going to measure it around the Wi-Fi IC. Do we have our short here? No. Okay. That would have really been too easy, hey? Okay, alright. Yeah, no shorts. Unfortunate. So I am going to just put that back, but first I need to get the rest of this out of the chassis. It's weird though, hey? Not being opened before and that cap just wasn't on the pad properly. Saying that, I am just going to chance it and see if that was maybe causing some issue somewhere. I don't think it was, but worth a try. Power on. Feet? No. Still the same thing. Okay. And whilst we're here, I'm going to see what kind of short it is that we have. Is it, what rail is it on? Is it on the 12 volt? Is it on the 5, the 3? What is it? So I'm going to ground my black probe there. Now I don't know where I'm going to be poking here, so I'm just going to try and find each individual rail. So this is supposedly the 12 volt. We have 12 volts, which is good. That means the power supply is good. I'm happy with that. HDMI circuit is up here. So I wonder if we're going to get what I want here. Do we get 5? Yeah, we get 3.3 the other side. What about when I go to push the power on, do we get 3.3? No, okay. That looks like the connector that we need, that 3.34. Could be wrong though. There's the 5. There's another 5. Oh, okay. We have 3.3 here. Okay, so we have 5. We have 3.3. We have an SSD controller around here. We have one I push here. Nothing. Other side. Here. Just a straight up 5 volts there as well. We've got 12 volts on F7005 down here. I'm pretty sure this is the bank for the RAM. Could be wrong. I get nothing when I push that. I'm just measuring on the fuses themselves, and standby voltages we seem to get 5 volts across most of them. So I don't think this is going to be an easy solve. Nothing obvious just yet. Okay, so I did get some, so it goes up to like 2.3, 2.5 there. Oh no, it went up to 3.3, didn't it? Yeah, it was 3.3. I get a 2 volts here, could be normal. I do just also want to see what happens when we inject 12 volts here. What kind of behaviour do we get with the amps, right? So injecting now, what do we get? 86, 150, and then drop down to 0. Okay, so let's do that one more time, 1, 2, 3. And that's that. Try now. Okay, so about 150. Around about 150 for me, I think, might be something like the SSD controller IC, but I could be completely wrong. Let's get the board out of the chassis and inspect this further. As the back of the board look on first inspection. So this board is a EDM040. Again, can't see any explosion or anything like that, which is nice. Move this out of the way. Clear up our liquid metal here. Okay, around the Wi-Fi IC, do I see any issues? No, I don't. Okay, try and familiarise ourselves with the board if possible. On something like this, a visual inspection is going to be key because maybe something from the factory was done incorrectly on this device, and then after certain amounts of use, it's just packed in. You know, it could be anything from like a little solder ball, anything really. This is the HDMI IC. How's that looking? The HDMI board itself looking all right. This is our Southbridge. This is a 69GG. CXD 969GG. Oh, a 69GG I think is what I actually need on a donor board of mine. But everything else seems to be okay on this side of the board anyway. This is the flip side. I wonder if you do anything to the firmware on these ones with the older revisions, you could convert a disc to a digital, but not a digital to a disc. I wonder, because this is just plug and play. We have this connector here with the disk drive, so you can actually just have one BIOS. If that makes sense. Who knows? I'm saying that because maybe we have an issue with the BIOS. First things first, definitely not going to make a difference. Nonetheless, let's get it done. Tiny bit of flux on those pads. Take our soldering iron and just apply some leaded. Take our little cap and put it back in its home. Try and make sure it's on the pad properly. Just giving it a bit of a clean. Whatever I do, it doesn't want to sit properly, so that will do. It's on the pad. Give the area a nice clean. Not the best job, but it's on the board. It means we get diagnosed to make sure we're all good. Yeah, 0.2, and this will be ground. Yeah, nice. For argument's sake, don't think it's going to work, but I'm just going to put it back in the chassis and try and power it on, see if it's made the slightest difference. And 1, 2, 3. No, exactly the same. Okay. Back under the scope. We checked our fuses on one side, so we have I think 1 or 2 more fuses this side, but that might be 12 volts, but let's just double check. I think it's this one. Yeah, that's the fuse, okay. I mean, it's got an arrow here, but I don't think that's a fuse. Wouldn't make sense, yeah, that's ground, that's a cap. Now we just go into a long prodding process and see if I can find any shorts with the multimeter. Check the back of the south bridge whilst I'm here. The south bridge seems to be okay. This is the encoder IC for the HDMI circuit. All seems alright. I've looked in pretty much every single area on this side of the board, I can't find anything. Let's go over to the bottom side again and see if I can find any shorts here. We've got 46 ohms here on the SSD controller, but that's pretty normal. 46 ohms, that's okay. Just low impedance, below 50 ohms, and my multimeter beeps. That's okay. Not to say we don't have an issue with the SSD controller IC. That's the 47 ohms we was talking about, so that connects directly to where we just measured, 47 ohms. So far so good. I think this is the main 12 volt power rail here, or it'll be 5 volts maybe. This might be where it converts from 12 to 5, might be this little IC here, the 3219A, could be completely incorrect, but all seems to be alright. Again, 12 volt here, but we're going to assume we don't have a short here because we get 12 volts. Alright, so we've checked pretty much every single cap on the board that potentially have a short, we've looked at. Let's see what the RAM rail's at. If this is at around about 14, 15 ohms, I'm sure, because this is Samsung, I'm sure that's what Samsung RAM is meant to be. So let's just see. What do we have here? 40, yeah, 13. So 13 ohms showing there. Okay, again, kind of makes sense. Where's the RAM? Oh, what's that? That's just in. Hi. Based on the information we've acquired so far, I say personally it's going to be either the South Bridge or the SSD controller. Now, SSD controller, is this the same one as the other PS5s? Because I don't think these have really changed per revision. Again, could be wrong. What's this? This is CXD 9070 GG. And the ones that we have from other PS5s is 062 GG. So those are the differences there. That's a 070 and this is a 062. Everything else is pretty much the same on that top line. So we've got a 6.2 and a 7.0. I wonder if they're all the same or not. So I have completed UART on the board and I've completely reset the codes to make sure that what I was getting was an accurate reading. And the one that's come up was this, and this only. So 055, SSD banks I/O error between SSD controllers. Now remember I was saying that the SSD controller is a 70 GG. Even on the 033 and the 031 board that I have, I don't think I have a 70 GG. But I was speaking to Phil, aka the coder, and he did say it could be one of the chips that actually controls the SSD controller. The RT chip or DA, both are compatible from what I understand. So I should be able to take that chip from a donor, at least then test that and see if we can get it working without having to change the SSD controller itself. I don't know if this also potentially could mean it might be one of the SSD chips itself, but I really want to get this working. Let's go ahead and change out that chip I was talking about. So I believe this is the IC that we're talking about, the RT5127, and somewhere along here, I believe it was on these caps here, that's where we're measuring the 47 ohms that I was talking about earlier, and this is right next to, subsequently, an SSD chip. So, you can have a look on a donor. Take this one off, 480 degrees Celsius, airflow speed is a nice cushy 99%. There we go. Here's our donor chip. There we go. Yeah, it's the dialogue IC. So even though this says something different, we should be able to use it. Should be no difference here. I'm not going to replace any of the solder here because again, we should just be able to do it on the unleaded that we already have. It should make its job a little bit easier. Make the board nice and hot. Put the chip on. Come off that heat. Nice and solid. Come on with our flux. Lower the airflow to about 50. And it should just go into place. There it is. No pushing down, nothing like that. That should have just done the job. Nice little clean. Make sure we're all good. Check our soldering. Looks okay. Right, let's give this a test now. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Now there's no power, no beep. Okay, well that's good because something's different. Let me go for a reflow of that chip with a bit of flux and push down and see if we can just make a better connection perhaps. Right, here we go, let's reflow this. Make sure that's not friction with anything, I don't think it is, but that's clean. Okay, here we're good. Any difference? 3, 2, 1. Still no power. Is this chip actually compatible then? Interesting. I'll replace it with another one just to make sure. This time I'll try and make sure it's an RT rather than a dialogue chip. Yeah, that does make a difference. Oh, I had it round the wrong way. Oh no. I just realised this pin 1's up there, but I was confused because the writing on the chip is here, but pin 1 on this chip is here. Pin 1 on this chip is down here, even though the writing is the same, if that makes any sense. Or moron. So I should be able to use this one. Do you know what? I'm not going to try it now just in case I've completely and utterly ruined it, but we'll go with this one, and this is definitely the correct way. Wow, rookie mistake. Very rookie mistake. Hopefully, I'm not ruining the console. You guys are probably screaming at me in the comments. I can see it now. How are we looking? Okay, good. This side. Nice. Good. Good. Alright, I'm going to put the bracket on this time, just in case I do get lucky. Here we go. Same issue. We'll different one now. Power. 3, 2, 1. Same issue. Okay. So it's not that chip. I don't get the same draw now. In fact, it only goes up to about 25 milliamps rather than what it did, which was 150 milliamps. So I wonder if, putting that chip on incorrectly, I have done something bad to the SSD controller, perhaps. I think I might just try and reflow this and see if that makes a difference. So just reflow the SSD controller IC as well as maybe the SSD and stuff that's around it, just because why not? I don't really have anything else to go by right now because this is me working on the first 040 that I have. I'm just going to try a few things and see what happens. Because at the moment I've not really got anything left to lose if I keep this board as a donor, you know, other than to get it working. What I do end up messing up here is the value of this if I was to set it as a donor, if I keep replacing and swapping a bunch of stuff. But I don't think I'm going to be doing that, if I'm honest. So my only option at the moment is to fix it. So I'm going 460 degrees Celsius with an airflow speed of 99%. And we're just going to give it a nudge. Whilst I'm here, we'll do, like I said, a few other chips as well. SSD chips. I'm pretty sure the one I just did was the controller. And these are the actual SSDs. I don't know which ones of these are actually changed yet, because you can only change, I think, two of them on the older. And just one more, which is a little bit out of scope right now, out of the camera. That's because I've got my fume extractor in the way, so forgive me. I can assure you that's been reflowed as well. It's obviously very, very hot now, so I need to wait a little bit before giving this a proper clean. Give it a flush as well. Some canned air. Okay, everything should have been cleaned out. Yeah, without any flux under there now. Good. Right, let's give this a test. Did that do anything? 3, 2, 1. So exactly the same issue. So it's not like a cracked solder ball or anything like that, unfortunately. Let's see what draw I get now. 25 milliamps and just does nothing. It goes up to 35 milliamps, then drops down to 25, and then just holds at 25 by the looks of it. Okay, so I could have potentially written this off when I've done what I did with the DA chip. Definitely a possibility, and I'm not ruling it out. Just need to remember that. I've not reflowed the SSDs on here, but again, I don't know if these are interchangeable, so I'm not too sure if I can swap them out, for example. And I don't know what ones I can swap out on this board either. We have 2 SSDs here
and 3/4. This only has 4. I'm pretty sure the older revisions have 5. This chip is shouting at me. This is like the SSD controller IC, I think, or something along those lines. And I obviously, again, don't have a 040, but I'm thinking maybe I just replace this with one of the older revisions, still a little bit of flux around that, and just see how I get on. So I'm going to take, this is one I have from a donor. The difference is I have SEC107 here, and this one is SEC325, but all the other numbers are pretty much identical, except for the one right at the bottom where this is a J2 and this is a GW. But again, this can't get any worse than what it is because it doesn't work, so might as well just try it. Here we go. A little bit of flux there. We also just need to flood it with some leaded as well, just to make sure we can wick it properly. There we go. Looking good. I'm pretty sure I have a stencil for this. I might not, in which case, this could take a while. Let's see. Does that do the job? I think it does. We're missing a few holes. Yeah, we're good. Okay, I can just use this. Lovely. So I've got paste here that's been dried at around about 200 degrees, and now I'm using it on the chip. That trick was taught to me by Paul Daniels. There we go. A little bit more down here. When the paste is dry, it solders better for whatever reason. 290 degrees at 20% airflow. Here we go. Beautiful. Lift it up, poke it through. And now we just go for a little bit of a reflow, just to make sure we're all good. Nice. Just a little clean. There we go, that chip is ready to go. If this works, I will cry.
What's real and original is in your bones. Not inspired as some famous face. It's set on your skin, put on the table. Unapologetic, unoriginal, to the bone, spoiled to tequila.
There goes one. Also have to use our wick here to get that solder off the board. And just to be safe again, I'm going to cover it with leaded and then wick it away, fresh flux. Nice, everything looks nice and clean. Okay, tiny bit of flux now, teeny tiny bit, just wiping it around the area. Chip needs to go in place there. A little bit over more. Yeah, I want to say that's good. 50% airflow, 450 degrees Celsius now. Make sure this contacts the board, and then we're going to come in and add some flux. So we'll come in from the top. This will be leaded solder. So relatively a lot easier to put on the board than it was to get off. This is our chip from the donor board. There we go, it's just sat in place. Okay, now I come off the heat. Board's at a little bit of an angle, which is why I put some more up here. And now we just go for the reflow. If that flux to bubble and sit, which I think it has done now, so I'm going to try and attempt to tap. Yeah. Definitely reflow. See? Come off the heat. Again, a nice full clean, then we can test again. Let's check underneath and just make sure we're all good and clean of flux. Yeah, we are, and the SSD controller is as well, so that's okay. We're all connected. It's a nice little reball there. Has it made a difference? Let's find out. Power in. Any difference? Do we get any LEDs? 3, 2, 1. Nothing. Oh, wait. Okay. That's different. Because now I only get a beep once every few seconds rather than straight away. So that has changed the pattern for us, isn't it? Because I was pressing it before, I was getting quite a consistent beep. Now I'm not getting that. I do wonder if we get any different reading with UART. So let's try that. Interestingly, after changing that chip, I get a known unknown, a different error, and it says HDMI to APU, check fuse, F7502, storage controller, which is interesting to see that it's different to what we had before, and that's after a reset of the codes as well, a refresh. So I'll quickly check F7502, but it could be that I've just shorted out the SSD controller IC. I don't know at this point. So am I a little bit stuck? Yes, I am. But we have F7004 here. I don't have a short, do I? No. Do I get a continuous path on this fuse? Wait. I don't? You guys can't hear the beep, right? And I'm assuming that's talking about, this is a fuse here, F7004 is here. That's not getting a continuous path. Why? Going to diode mode, what do I get this side? 0.36, what do I get this side? 0.38. So wait, is this a resistor? Why is this saying fuse F7004? Unless I'm being silly. I don't necessarily see a fuse anywhere other than that. Unless it's meant to be here and it's not on the board for whatever reason. I'm going to go ahead and assume that's meant to be a fuse. So I'm just going to change it and see what happens. Should you do this? Absolutely not. Am I doing it for science? Yes. This actually here, I've just worked out that F7004 is basically F7502 on the older boards. Subsequently, the fuse that I'm taking is from that exact same place on the other board. Could this ruin everything? Absolutely. I'm in too deep now. I also think I've ruined stuff quite a while ago. So, right, do we get a continuous path now? Yes, we do. Okay. Imagine if it was just that. Right, let's test. Hopefully, no magic smoke or anything like that, because we might have just joined two paths that aren't meant to be joined. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Nothing. Same thing, exactly the same. Same sort of beats. I wonder if that fuse has blown. Out of interest, whilst we're here, some DC voltage. Ground that. Let's check this fuse. This side, 5 volts. This side, 5 volts. Okay, so maybe it is meant to be. I'll try UART and get some different codes, and we'll go from there. Hopefully, we get some different codes anyway. Okay, I've done UART, and I'm back to where I was at the start, which is SSD banks IO error between SSD controller 1055. Kind of gives me a little bit of happiness, to be honest, because it means in my head that potentially I didn't ruin the console and now everything is kind of back to where it was at the start when I started looking. That might not be true. However, I think I'm going to need a 17GG SSD controller. So I'm going to open up a PlayStation 5 that I believe is a 033 board. It requires a 69GG Southbridge, and therefore I'm assuming that it has a 70GG SSD controller. If my donor board has a 70GG controller, SSD controller, I'll put that on this board instead of this SSD controller and see if that's the issue. If it doesn't have a 70GG SSD controller, I'll take the Southbridge 69GG from this one and put it onto the donor board, and maybe we make a profit that way to just save this episode. I'm going to do that in the live stream though, so what you'll see now will be clips of that. Wish you luck. So this is the one that I think potentially has our 70GG SSD controller and a 69 Southbridge. I mean, that's what the label does say, right? Waiting on SP 69GG 0.010 actual. If this SSD controller here is a 70.
Hi guys, hi guys.
Which I'm going to say actually probably isn't. The reason being is because of the way that these
I see nothing
markings
here,
on the
nothing.
chip are currently laid out.
Yeah, we just
So I'm
putting
pretty
on some
sure that these
stuff on this
markings
car
is a 62
and the bumper
GG.
and some
Let's
stuff.
have a look. This is
So-
a big moment of truth.
That's what's going on, guys. So
62
that's why you don't
Okay,
see anything,
alright,
you
so
don't hear
our
anything.
only other hope then is that this specific board that we're looking at is a faulty board, and I put the fault down to a bad Southbridge at 69GG. And I've been waiting for a 69GG Southbridge on this board for the longest of time, and I have an EDM 040 board that subsequently
How are you doing
has
today?
a 69GG. So what I'm thinking is that I replace the 69GG Southbridge on here with the 69GG Southbridge on the newer board that I currently have. It's a nice clean pull. I wonder if I can use the same stencil. Does it look like I can use the same stencil? Who knows? Leaded on this Southbridge. To be honest, some of these look oxidized, hey? Right, that's leaded, and then we're going to grab some wick. Whoop! Broken things, because this would have now mixed with the unleaded on the board, you see. Now we just swoop this down. Now you can be a little bit more rigorous with the ICs themselves. You can still break them, so please be careful, but they're not as sensitive as the actual board, where you can scrape off the conformal coating. You can still do damage to these, so be careful. Now I'm waiting on cotton buds. I should actually go and get some from the other room, but I'm just going to use a microfiber cloth here. Now, I need to see if our stencil is the same for this as what it is the other one. Is the 61GG the same layout as 69? I mean, that looks pretty similar to me. I might be wrong. There might be a single bore under here that doesn't line up with the other one, but I mean, so far so good it looks like. When you say drop one in the hole, I mean, it's automatically about 17, isn't it? Okay. So this is how I do these, right? But yeah, it's excess. Yeah, it's a lot. Let me just do this. These tweezers are going to need a good cleaning because these tweezers are horrendously fluxy. There we go. Okay, oh, screwed that with this. I think it's literally 1%. I think it's 1% at, I want to say like 390 on this, to be honest. It sounds like a lot, but I think that's what I have been doing. Again, we've got a tiny bit of flux on this already. And what we're looking for here is the balls to turn almost like a dry grey, like a dull grey. That's what I'm looking for, a dull grey. There we go. Can you see that they're starting to turn that dull grey? There's an indication that they're actually soldered to the pads. There we go. There we go. They're all starting to form a little bit. See that? So it'll be pretty messy at the moment. There we go. Okay, so we're just going to leave it like that for 2 seconds. Now, a lot of them look out of place. They look a little bit dodgy, right? What we do is now we come in with some flux. And we just now go for a nice reflow. I give it up to 5% because those balls, actually 10%, because those balls are solid now. Ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. What's nice about doing it this way is that they are all indeed the same size balls as well. What I'm right, Mr. Mobble? No, it's just there was no flux there. There was no flux there. So the ball's there. The flux didn't expand enough for that down there, if that makes sense. Just to confirm, got a little bit of flux there. Now it's the same. And I'll go for the reflow, just to make sure. I'll just reflow that ball, because what we don't want is that ball going straight when we go to put the icy on. Just make sure it's on the I did reball this South Bridge, I'm pretty sure, just in case there was any dull pads underneath. Just put it on the white tack. If it doesn't burn through the white tack, that wouldn't be good with it. Now just more flux. And in case I didn't reflow this before, I'm just going to add some leaded solder here. So I'm using the bigger tip on my Hakko now. What's that? Oh, that's conformal coating. So that's conformal coating now, which is good, because it means that I have done this before. Look at that. So much easier. So I'm going to give it a little tap now, because I believe it's not molten just yet. Let's check now. There we go. Now I'm going to come off the heat. Be sure it bounces back into place. That means that it is all the balls underneath are adhered to the pads. That's really, really good. And now I'm going to do the flush. Let's just inspect the balls underneath the South Bridge. We can see that there is now no flux. Lovely jubbly. And all those balls seem to be soldered onto the board correctly. There we go. Just make sure we get the other couple of sides as well. Yeah. I'm confident and happy with my job here. If I do manage to get this board working, we've got some extra work to do. Right, 3, 2, 1. The 040 PS5 Slim board, which is this one, is not fixable, to my knowledge anyway, and to my ability, should I say, which is rather upsetting. So just to round up for you, I tried fixing the PS5 Slim on stream, but I basically wasn't able to because I didn't have the correct SSD controller. So I will put that to the side, and hopefully in the future, if I get the correct SSD controller, which will be a 070, then I'll come back and try and fix it. But for today's episode, we are in fact at a loss. I did try and fix another PS5 with components from this PS5 Slim, but that didn't work either. I'm so upset to have to do this to you, Sally, and just to confirm, we had such a good run, 13 in a row. I'm afraid I'm going to have to put a minus £190 here to end our streak, which is a brutal amount of money, by the way. It's not like a minus £5 or £10, it's minus £190. My own doing, because I want to keep the board, see if I can fix it with the SSD controller. If not, I'll keep it for parts anyway, because it's nice to have a newer console for parts. Just like that, taking our total profit to a measly £560.18. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. I'll leave the first episode in this playlist right up here, so you can watch from the very start. We had an absolutely fantastic win streak. Have a great rest of your day, week, weekend, afternoon, whatever it is for you. And I'll see you in, as always, the next one. Peace.
That's what you like to do.
Today is a new day. I buy faulty electronic items on eBay, attempt to fix them and sell them on for a profit. Welcome your faces back to episode number 91 of this series, profit or loss. This is Sally's spectacular spreadsheet, and Sally recently has been very happy, minus a few little losses. Prior to that, it was very up and down. Either my knowledge is getting better when it comes to repairing, which I highly doubt, or I'm just managing to find a few good deals on eBay recently. Probably that. Well, Joey, what are these good deals that you're talking about on eBay? I paid a grand total of £200, not for just this Nintendo Switch Lite, but for 4 Nintendo Switch Lites. So we're talking £50 each. I think that's a relatively good deal. I was trying to get a little bit of a sneak peek on the listing to see if the screws have been removed before or not, and it was really difficult to tell. So Lord only knows what I've stumbled across today. We might have 4 prior repair attempts that have all failed. We have a couple missing analog covers, as you can see. 3 out of the 4 consoles don't have serial numbers. When that happens, I don't feel so confident, but I'm determined today to make a profit. And yes, my sign is wonky. The eBay listing that I bought these from, it was one listing, like I said, for £200. 2 of them apparently do not connect to any Wi-Fi or find any Wi-Fi networks, and the other 2 are no power. I don't know if I'm going to get through all 4 Nintendo Switch Lites today. If they're easy enough, that might be the case, and there might be some pretty serious profit. Let's look at Switch Lite number 1. I don't know which one's no power, which one's have a Wi-Fi issue. I'm just going to randomly go with this one. Do you power on? No, you don't. Okay, and again, this one doesn't have a serial number. Has that even got a charging port for my camera focus? That is any second now. It does have a port. It doesn't look fantastic. Let's head on over to our microscope. Oi, this doesn't look fantastic. It's solid, but the framing looks out. Can you see? I think this has definitely had a charging port replacement before, so something's been inside it. Screw-wise, yeah, you can see that the screws are a little bit split. We have the one on the top as well. We do. That one looks a little bit better. Any chance we have a game? No. I will give this a little bit of a test though, because I can't see any bent pins. Let's plug our ammeter into the device. What do we get? Oh, it feels awful. It doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel good. 0.07 out of focus, and just staying on 0.07. That could mean a plethora of things. The thing that I'm worried about here is that I don't actually see any battery symbol on the screen. Because of how this port is and everything, I'm actually just going to take this apart and see what we have. Before I start dismantling this device and potentially breaking it even further, a huge shout out to today's video sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay is the solution for all your PCB needs. Imagine this scenario. You're in dire need of a reliable service to print some custom circuit boards. Those boards need to be great quality, have fast shipping, and be at a very good price. PCBWay have you sorted. Simply start your instant quote and customize your PCB to how you want it. Anything from thickness to solder mask color. And then in a few simple steps, you'll be ready to check out. PCBWay also offers services such as CNC machining, 3D printing, injection molding, and sheet metal fabrication. Why not check out the gift store where you can buy preheaters, soldering irons, multimeters, and much, much more. Head on over to PCBWay.com to get started. Well, the screws don't seem to be threaded, which is always nice. 4 tri-rings on the back. Take these off. Time to remove said chassis. Try and wiggle that off. Here we go. So far, so good. One thing I really like is that all the screws have been put back in the right places. There could be a scenario in which this hasn't been opened before, and what I'm talking about is absolute baloney. I think I've just got trust issues. I can definitely see off the face of it flux on the board, especially around the power connector, just here, from where it connects to the daughter board. And that port has been replaced, I can confirm. I can't really comment on the aspect of the job until I take the board out a little bit further. This connector does feel fluxy. A little bit of slip on the thermal paste there. Don't know if that necessarily would have done the job in the long run. So knowing that somebody's actually been in this device before now drastically already lowers our chances of being able to fix it. But like I said, I've got good faith about today. They've actually peeled up the board here from when they tried to disconnect the battery. See on the corner? Oh, that's really exposed. Should now be able to just lift the motherboard out of the chassis. Let's head on over to the scope and inspect some of this. First inspections, here we go. A little bit of flux on the max I see over there. Let's have a look at this port then, shall we? Okay, alright. Doesn't look like a horrendous port if you ask me. We seem to be missing a little bit of solder just coming all the way through and hugging this leg, and on the same on this side. These ones are more than making up for that though, because they look quite strong. On the back of the port, has the solder gone all the way through? Yeah, it looks okay. They burnt a little bit of plastic on the port, but that's neither here nor there. It doesn't necessarily matter. Oh, what else are we missing? This is the, I want to say the backlight IC, or the fuel gauge. It's one of the two. And then this one obviously needs to be soldered correctly, I guess. And it's not, which is why I guess visual inspection is very, very key.
So we need to sort this out, we need to sort that out. Let me turn it round this way so I'm a little bit more familiar with it. We've got flux all over the back here. We've got M92T36, which I don't know if it's been replaced or not. I'm going to hazard a guess and say that has not been replaced. Same with DQ, doesn't look like it's been replaced. I'm just having a quick skim on the board for any other missing components that might be hanging on for dear life, because ultimately those things will need to be sorted first. All good this side of the board. Let's flip the board over and just have a gander around. This is our LCD ribbon connector, the FEC connector. How's this looking? No damage to that, nice. And now we look at everything else as well. Doesn't look to be much damage, or missing components, should I say, anywhere else on the board. Has the cover for the APU been lifted off? Doesn't look like it, which is always good. And we've got just over here as well, I saw that initial bit of flux. It looks like they might have even tried to replace this FEC connector, you know. How does that look inside? It looks okay, because that could well be why we only get 0.7. I mean, this is all just flux that I'm pushing aside right now, which is why it also felt really sticky when I was pulling that cable out. All seems to be connected. What's the damage like here? Now, this could be really bad. It could be okay. Who knows? And I feel like the only way to kind of deal with it is just to put some solder mask on it, you know, and cover it all up. I'm hoping and praying that all of those are ground layers. Imagine it like this. This isn't necessarily true, by the way. We could have 12 volt, 5 volt, 1.8 volt, someone else, and they're all just touching and colliding together. I don't know what's happened here. Even if you're trying to get the connector off for the battery, because the battery plugs in here, I mean, that's still a really difficult job, and you probably have to go in this way, and maybe somebody was just trying to pry it off, and that's how they caused that damage. I have no idea. I'll see what I can do. I'm going to see if this port is connected. If we zoom in, we just give these a little poke. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say this is going to need a new port. Yeah, look how much some of these are moving. Okay, yeah, we'll take that port off, we'll give it a new port. There is a trace here that, oh, this is lifted as well. Again, I'm just hoping that trace is ground, but who knows at this point. Sort out this little transistor, put this little IC back on, and replace the port. I think that's going to be our first things with this board. Getting this board off, a nice, simple and easy 450 degrees Celsius, airflow speed 50%. Just hovering that hot air gun underneath, and making sure that we rotate it to ensure we don't actually burn the board to bits. I don't want to use a solder sucker because that component on the back is hanging on for dear life. So let's sort that out first. Should be relatively simple here. I'm going to apply a drop of flux. That might even be connected still, you know. But we put a tiny bit of flux here and just focus our nozzle. I'm going 400 degrees Celsius now. I'm trying a little bit of a lower temperature on the switches, rather than the 450 for certain things. There we go. That's definitely in place. Let's also go with a little bit of flux down here. Tiny bit of leaded solder, because I'm going to clean this up. Hopefully, look to get the smaller bit of wick down here and clean that pad, but it can be tough. It's a very small area to work in. Don't want to take up any components around it, you see. That'll do. Nice little clean with a cotton swab. All that flux residue. Okay, now I have to rebore a full gauge from a donor board. I've chosen one. This IC is tiny, by the way. This IC barely fits in the clamp. Put a tiny bit of flux on it, and a little bit of solder, clean up those pads, and maybe switch over to this iron to clean it. There we go, a bit of IPA. Cotton swab, looking clean to me. And now we use our little bittle stencil. See this? That's how small this is. Let me get my fingernail. This is my fingernail here. Look how small this is. Line it up like that. Little ickle bit of solder paste just over the chip. And then I'm pretty sure I'll be able to hit this with whatever temperature I want. Obviously nothing excessive. I'm going to go 320 degrees at 50% airflow here. And it should fall pretty quickly. Just like that. And that is a nice reballed fuel gauge. Now for my next trick, I have to work out what way up it goes. I think it goes this way, because the plus that's in this little corner goes with this triangle. I'm going to really try and get this in at the right place. I think it's about here. Come off the hot air. Is that stuck? It is stuck. Is it in the right place? Is an entirely different question. So I'm just going to apply some flux around the IC, and we're going to reflow it, and hopefully it doesn't jump too far. No, not too bad, not too bad, not too bad. A little poke. That's okay. Cool down a second. Get rid of that flux in the area. Nice clean. Alright, let's just check around the IC. The annoying thing is I can't actually tell if it's soldered on correctly because it is such a tiny chip. The one that we're looking at is here. I mean, those balls all look okay. But again, I'm looking at this at a very tight angle. Whilst we're here, let's line up switch light charging port and get this prepared and tinned. Flux. There we go. Clean off any flux that you can. All is prepped for the new port. Final touch is a little bit of flux. Just around here. A little bit here, a little bit here. 420 degrees Celsius, airflow speed 50%. Try and keep this temperature pretty high because of the fact we're looking to heat through the board. As long as we keep moving that air, we should be alright. Place port on. Give it a couple of seconds. Actually grab my other tweezers here. So we can just shimmy that down into place just like that. Make sure we're all good. Just about here. Come off the heat, slight pressure, slight pressure. Wait for that solder to harden. There we go. Come off and clean whilst the board is hot. I'll come straight in with a cotton swab here. Give this all a nice clean. There we go. Before we take it onto the desk, is it looking flat to the board? It is, look at that. Wonderful. Over to the desk now, just to give it a little poke test and make sure that we've put this on properly. All looks okay though. Looks really good, except for this one maybe? No, that one's fine as well. It's got a little bit less solder on than the others, but it's still absolutely solid. That's a really, really nice port. We've changed the port out. We've sorted out this transistor that was hanging on for dear life. And we've also sorted out the fuel gauge. What I haven't done is put conformal coating around here, but I'm not going to do that just yet in case this doesn't work. Quickly, now that I've sorted all of that stuff out, I am going to check for shorts. So I've got my multimeter. It's in continuity mode, which is a mode of beeps when we indeed have a complete circuit. I'm just going to check around M9TT36 for shorts. CPU cap is not shorted. I should have checked that right at the start. We don't have any shorts. Is the fuse okay? Fuse is okay. Any shorts around our fuel gauge? Again, really something that I should have checked before. All good. Finally, we'll check BQ. No shorts around BQ either. Wicked. Nothing left now. Just put it back into the chassis and see what happens. I put this back together enough to test, so I've got the backlight, the LCD, the door board all hooked up, and I just want to see what happens. Here we go. Using our ammeter. What do we get? 3, 2, 1.
Why wait until December for amazing deals? Boxing Week is back at Leon's. Save up to 50% on select furniture and clearance mattresses. Plus, save up to $1,000 on select appliance packages. Leon's, now that's comfortable.
As great in summer as it is in winter. Like a Yeti who loves the beach. Made to summer, built for winter. Hurry in while summer lasts.
Okay, good. Lights out. 0.09. Anything on the screen? Yes! Yes, you do! 110 milliamps as well. Come on, son. I just want to see if it turns on. So I'm actually going to leave it in charge for a little bit. Once we get to the OS/startup screen, I'll turn it off. I'll put the thermal paste and the game card reader and everything back, just for then initial testing, make sure the games work, the Wi-Fi, etc. Then I'll take it back apart again and sort out these because I don't want to do these now just in case. Might be a waste of time. It has just got up to 450 milliamps per hour, which is really good. And then hopefully, who knows, we might be able to call this one a fix. And I didn't think that was going to happen when I first opened this console. I'm not going to talk this yet because I always know what happens in these situations. So I am absolutely zipping it shut. Oh, it's just turning on. I've just caught it. Is it going to turn on fully? Ah, that looks like it's hanging. That hanged for quite a long time. Why did it do that? I'm going to hazard a guess here and say that the Wi-Fi is not going to work on this one. Yes, I knew it. Wi-Fi communication is not currently available due to an error. This was definitely a no-power device. So actually, there was 3 that had Wi-Fi issues, I'm assuming. And I could just tell from how slow the startup screen was that we would have an issue like the Wi-Fi. Okay, so let's investigate that. The Wi-Fi chip is under this little shield. I literally said, didn't I? It's too good to be true. I said it. Both too good. Both too soon. Let's see what we got under the shield. Maybe we're going to be lucky enough to just deal with like a shorted cap or something. Meter in continuity mode. Again, you can hear the beeps. Do we have any shorts on any caps? Or is it the actual Wi-Fi IC itself? Most probably the Wi-Fi IC itself. No shorts. Which means I think it's going to be the actual Wi-Fi IC. This is the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth module. The Nintendo Switch Lite does in fact have Bluetooth. It goes up this way. There's no easy way to take this off. Doing it this way is probably going to be best. Again, 400 degrees Celsius, 50% airflow. Let's see if we can get this off without breaking everything. Okay, I'll take it. Very, very shaky sort of situation, but we got the job done. Let's add flux to the mix. It looks quite awful under there, doesn't it? You see it's quite difficult to work in an area like this. I'm going to add some leathers. Yeah, very small area to work in. Very small. Going to rotate the board quickly. I'll make my life a little bit easier at least. I think we look pretty good. Very dry now, so I now need to come back in with some heat. There we go, that looks pretty clean to me. Now the hard part, removing the Wi-Fi IC from a donor board, and we're going to have to reball it. I actually done several of these on a stream recently, and it gave me a big run for my money. It made me realise how much I still have to learn when it comes to soldering. The entire reballing process was horrific, and I hope I'm going to be able to nail it first time on this IC, but somehow I just don't think that's going to happen. Here art thou, Chip. Big shout out, by the way, to Paul Daniels, who taught me a trick when it comes to reballing really small ICs like this. Dry your paste first, like this. This is dry paste. This way is probably most comfortable for me, if I'm honest. I think that now lines up. Make sure your stencil is really clean as well. This one could do a little bit more of a brush. Lay the stencil flat. Come in now with that dry paste. Dry paste for me made such a difference. Now for me here, 20% at 280 degrees Celsius really worked. Is it going to work this time round, or is it going to make me look like a moron? Who knows? Let's find out. Yes. Okay, sweet. That looks like it's worked. Mine is 2 balls, apparently. They get stuck in the stencil? I think so. I could come in with 2 small balls here, I think like literally 0.2 mil, and place them on. I actually think 0.3 is better. Yeah, I think definitely 0.3. Just drop these on, put them in place. With 1% airflow at 300 degrees Celsius here. There they go. Perfect. And the other one. Wicked. Now I'm just going to add a bit of flux to this IC. Still keep it at 1%. There's no need for me to change it right now. Means that the chip won't fly off at least. Now, those balls look a bit too big, in my opinion. Annoyingly. 0.3 is too big. I should have gone 0.2. See how big they are. See what we can do here. If I can do anything. No, messed up at this. We messed up at this point. We messed up. Yeah. It was looking so good. That's all right. We were so close. We were so close. It should be relatively quick to get back to the stage we were just at. Little bit of exposure on this just up here, but hopefully that's going to be okay. A lot of hoping at this point, isn't there? This is it. This is the one. Dry paste. There we go. 20% 280. You can have the same issue or someone else now. Come on, we got this. Come on, Chip. Do me a favour. Okay, wait for a second. I'm not going to lift up straight away this time. I'm going to wait. Now I'm going to go with the lift up. I think I see 2. I do see 2. See if I can push these through. Is it the same 2 or different 2? I think it's a different 2. Okay, I feel like now I go with a 0.2 mil ball, which is here. That can just stay on there. There's no flux on the chip, right? So it makes it a little bit more difficult to get this to stay on the pad. There we go, that'll do. Right, 1% again, 300. Looks a little bit better to me. Come with the flux. There we go. I think that's it. That looks better. Looks a lot better. The 0.2 mil is perfect. I can't even tell which one it was. Well, I did just miss the whole procedure of me actually putting the IC on, which is unfortunate. I swore a lot, believe it or not, but we can see that the balls underneath seem to be intact. Just what I was wondering, if I put it at this angle as well, you can tell it's the same board. But I just missed out on quite a bit of footage there, unfortunately. I couldn't get it into position for such a long time, but I'm now more than happy with how this looks. So all I need to do is put it back in the chassis and give it a test, and hopefully our Wi-Fi works, and the slow boot has also been rectified to a normal boot. Let's see. All right, pretty much necessities back together again, and hopefully I haven't bricked the device, because that's very, very possible considering how delicate that Wi-Fi IC is. So have we bricked it is the question. No, we haven't. That's really, really good. The fact that it looks like it's turning on is awesome. Does it hang? Please don't hang. I'll be able to tell pretty much straight away. No, it didn't hang. Let's go. Okay, don't get too excited. I need to make sure that it connects to Wi-Fi. Internet settings. Searching, please. Please. No error. Yes, let's go. Okay, sweet. My SSID has been found. Let me try and connect to it. Okay, connecting. Please connect. No error now. Come on. Yes. Okay, successfully connected. Lovely. Jubbly. I'll do a little time-lapse montage of me just really quickly, I say really quickly, very slowly, changing out these analog sticks. Because let's be honest, nobody really wants to see that. I've done pretty much everything I need to. I'm just going to put a tad of conformal coating down here. Doesn't seem to be shorting out with anything, but again, more so a better to be safe than sorry situation. Big blob of it. Get down there. I'm really hoping at this point, I haven't tested the game card reader, so I hope that really works. And also the SD card reader, I hope that works as well. Alright, let's turn it on. I didn't actually show this before, but just to show that it's charging both ways, that way and that way. So our port is good. There we go. Speaker's all good. Thumb sticks, we quickly sort out, even if they're perfect, I always like to calibrate them. There's one. Perfect. Jubbly. That's the other one as well. Just the touchscreen, make sure it doesn't knock out anywhere, which it doesn't. Good to see. So the screen is fine, digitizer's all good. Please be okay. Game card reader. Mario Party in. Yes, straight away. Jubbly. Also the SD card reader. Come on. Yeah, good. Restart console. Lovely. There we have it. Few little marks on the screen. I think a dog's been at it, to be honest, at the top. But that will easily sell on eBay for a decent price, which we'll find out at the end of the video. One thing is console. We're missing a tri-wing up here. We don't have a tri-wing here. No tri here. No tri here. It's not looking good for switch number 2, is it? The R as well doesn't feel like it's R. No micro SD card. No game. Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay. Internet settings. Do we get an error?